Welcome to Daily English with Winnie and Aster. Today we're practicing a real-life conversation about planning a spring trip with AI, using natural English you can actually say out loud.
Listen for simple everyday words, natural rhythm, and useful replies you can start using right away.
Hi, thanks for waiting.
No problem. I just sat down a minute ago.
I've been thinking about taking a short spring trip next month.
That sounds fun. Have you already picked a place, or are you still deciding?
I'm still deciding, so I started looking at ideas on my phone this morning.
Did you use one of those AI trip planning tools? People talk about them a lot now.
Yeah, I tried one. It gave me a simple plan with places to stay, food spots, and things to do.
That's useful, especially when you just want a starting point instead of a perfect plan.
Exactly. I don't want to spend hours jumping between tabs.
Same here. If a tool can save time, I at least want to try it.
It also helped me compare travel times and rough prices.
That part matters. I always check the budget before I get too excited.
I want the trip to feel special, but I also don't want it to be too expensive.
Right. A good trip doesn't have to be fancy if the plan is clear and realistic.
I think I need a simple itinerary, a reasonable budget, and one or two places I really want to see.
That's a smart way to do it. Too many plans can make a short trip feel stressful.
Maybe later I'll show you the list it made for me and you can tell me what sounds good.
I'd like that. Sometimes a second opinion makes the plan much better.
I've been thinking about planning a spring trip with AI all morning.
Really? That sounds like a good chance to practice natural daily English conversation.
I know the basic words, but I still want to sound more natural.
Then let's keep it simple and say things the way people really talk.
Good idea. I want sentences I can actually use this week.
Perfect. Real conversations are better when they feel specific and easy to remember.
If I get stuck, I usually pause too long.
That's normal. A short, clear sentence is better than waiting for a perfect one.
Can we practice a few different ways to say the same thing?
Sure. That helps you sound flexible instead of memorized.
I also want to sound polite without sounding too formal.
Then we should mix natural phrases with a friendly tone.
Sometimes I understand everything, but I don't know how to reply quickly.
In that case, having a few ready-made responses can really help.
I like learning expressions that make the conversation flow better.
Right. Small linking phrases make you sound more comfortable and confident.
I guess confidence is a big part of speaking well.
Definitely. If your tone is calm, even simple English sounds strong.
Let's make this feel like a real conversation, then.
I'm in. We'll keep it natural and useful.
What would be a good first sentence in this situation?
Start with something clear, friendly, and easy to answer.
And after that, I can ask a follow-up question, right?
Exactly. That keeps the conversation moving without pressure.
I notice native speakers often react before giving a full answer.
Yes, even a small reaction like that makes sense or sounds good helps a lot.
That sounds easier than trying to make every sentence impressive.
It is. Good conversation is usually about connection, not performance.
I want to remember a few lines from today after we leave.
Then let's repeat the strongest phrases in a natural way.
Maybe I should also listen for tone, not just vocabulary.
Absolutely. Tone carries feeling, and feeling makes your English sound alive.
When I speak too fast, I make more mistakes.
Then slow down just enough to stay clear and comfortable.
I like that this doesn't feel like a textbook lesson.
That's the goal. Useful English should fit into your real life.
Can we end with a short version I could actually use today?
Of course. A practical ending makes the whole conversation easier to remember.
Thanks. I already feel more relaxed about speaking.
You should. You're doing better every time we practice.
Maybe we should turn this into a real example instead of only talking about it.
Good idea. A realistic example is easier to remember after the video ends.
I also want to learn answers that sound calm and natural, not too formal.
Then let's use everyday wording that feels warm and easy to copy.
Sometimes I understand the question, but I still need a second to organize my answer.
That is normal, so we can practice short response patterns you can reuse quickly.
If I only memorize one sentence, I get nervous when the conversation changes.
Right, so it helps to learn a few flexible phrases instead of only one perfect line.
I like expressions that buy me a little time while I think.
Those are useful because they make you sound engaged even when you need a moment.
Can we keep the tone friendly but still clear?
Absolutely. Friendly and clear is usually the best combination in daily English.
It also helps when I can picture the situation in my head.
That is why scene-based practice works so well for listening and speaking.
I want people to feel comfortable talking with me, even if my English is simple.
A warm tone does that. Simple English with good tone often sounds better than complicated English.
If I wanted to start politely, I could say, "Hi, could I ask you something?"
Yes, and that opening sounds natural because it is soft, clear, and easy to respond to.
Then maybe I could add one detail, so the other person understands what I mean.
Exactly. One useful detail keeps the sentence practical without making it too long.
If the other person speaks quickly, I could say, "Sorry, could you say that one more time?"
That works well because it is direct, polite, and very common in real conversations.
And if I need time, I could say, "Let me think for a second."
That is great because it sounds natural and gives you breathing room without silence.
I also want to react in a more natural way instead of answering too suddenly.
Small reactions like "I see," "that makes sense," or "oh, got it" help a lot.
So the conversation becomes smoother even if my vocabulary is not advanced.
Exactly. Smooth rhythm is often more important than difficult words in daily conversation.
I notice that when I smile, my voice sounds more open too.
It does, and listeners can often hear that warmth even in a short sentence.
Maybe I should practice the same idea in 2 or 3 different ways.
That is one of the fastest ways to sound flexible instead of memorized.
For example, I could say, "That sounds good," or "That works for me," or "I'm okay with that."
Yes, and each one gives you a slightly different feeling while keeping the same meaning.
I like learning phrases that make me sound relaxed.
That is smart, because relaxed speakers are easier to understand and easier to talk to.
Let me check if I remember the key idea from today.
Go ahead. Summarizing out loud is a great way to lock it in.
First, I should keep my sentences short and clear.
Right, and then use a friendly tone so the conversation feels easy.
Second, I can use small reaction phrases before giving a full answer.
Exactly. That makes your English sound more natural and connected.
Third, if I need more time, I can say that honestly instead of freezing.
Yes. A simple time-buying phrase is better than a long silence.
And finally, I should practice useful lines that fit real life.
That is the best kind of practice because you can use it right away.
I've been thinking about planning a spring trip with AI all morning. This is practice round 2, so I can remember it more naturally.
Really? That sounds like a good chance to practice natural daily English conversation. Repeating it with a small change makes the phrase easier to use in real life.
I know the basic words, but I still want to sound more natural. This is practice round 2, so I can remember it more naturally.
Then let's keep it simple and say things the way people really talk. Repeating it with a small change makes the phrase easier to use in real life.
Good idea. I want sentences I can actually use this week. This is practice round 2, so I can remember it more naturally.
Perfect. Real conversations are better when they feel specific and easy to remember. Repeating it with a small change makes the phrase easier to use in real life.
If I get stuck, I usually pause too long. This is practice round 2, so I can remember it more naturally.
That's normal. A short, clear sentence is better than waiting for a perfect one. Repeating it with a small change makes the phrase easier to use in real life.
This was really helpful. I think I can use these lines today.
You definitely can. Keep it simple, stay relaxed, and trust your voice.
Deal. Next time, let's practice another everyday situation.
Sounds good. Planning a spring trip with AI was a great place to start.